Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, dwyervip.com. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Let's talk life philosophy just for a moment, right? You know, I have a bias. We all have biases. It's an opinion video. But to me, people who are hardwired, right? The folks who are predictable. In other words, they're efficient. They have a way of doing things. But it's almost rote. You kind of know what they're going to do. Maybe they do it according to the textbook. Maybe they're great in the way they do it. But to me, those people aren't as effective as the person who's a little bit more what I call adaptive reactive, right? The person who has a certain creativity where they could literally change course on the fly. They can make adjustments in the middle of an event, right? So I've had countless conversations with millennials on whether or not LeBron James, who is a spectacular player, right? First ballot Hall of Famer, on whether he was as good as Michael Jordan, right? To me, there's no comparison. Jordan was unpredictable. He had a certain creativity to his game that LeBron just doesn't have. Right? Both guys were leaders. But with Jordan, you didn't quite know what Jordan was going to do. Jordan could leave his feet. And then on the fly, if someone came over, change hands, do whatever. Right? Kobe Bryant was that way. Just not as effective as Michael Jordan. Right? To me, Jordan's a cut above LeBron James. I know people are going to disagree. That's all good, right? Just like in the NFL, and I'm making this video on November 14th, 2016, after Cowboy running back Ezekiel Elliott had a great game, right? The Cowboys in American football look like they're on the verge of making the playoffs. Ezekiel Elliott is being talked about as an MVP candidate. LeBron James actually said he should be considered for MVP and Rookie of the Year, right? But just to understand from this seat, this one right here, right? Ezekiel Elliott, whether or not he has a better year than the guy I'm about to mention, isn't the back, doesn't have the upside of Le'Veon Bell. Right? Le'Veon Bell's a guy who, you know, whatever he's doing, wherever he is on the field, he could be out at wide receiver. Right? This is a running back. Seems to know where he is, just knows his body better than Ezekiel Elliott. Elliott's the guy who, again, hardwired. Right? The Cowboy line creates a hole for him. He can blow through the hole with gusto. Le'Veon Bell's a different type of guy. Le'Veon Bell is the guy who starts to come over here, sees a hole, then sees a hole over here, then looks up, notices that there are fewer guys behind the line over here than there are on this side. Bell on the fly can hit the second hole, then make moves, juke guys, patiently wait, read motion. A lot better, change gears. A lot better than Ezekiel Elliott can. Right? Well, let me just say, this boxing match for the title at cruiserweight features a very good fighter, Thabiso Mchunu. I know I'm butchering names, right? We'll call him Thabiso. Right? He's an excellent fighter. Excellent. He's a southpaw. Great right jab, excellent jab. He likes to be in the pocket. He's paced. You could tell Floyd Mayweather was a role model for him. He has a Philly shell going on. He has you throwing punches into his shoulder, right? He's susceptible to uppercuts. We noticed that in the Junior Makabu fight, right? But he's a chess player who likes to be in the pocket, who likes to outthink you. Now the problem he's going to have is his next opponent. Now let me just say this. His next opponent has a gift that just leaps out at you on film. You understand you're looking at Le'Veon Bell, not Ezekiel Elliott. You're looking at Jordan, not LeBron James, right? Cruiserweight champion Oleksander Usyk, who by the way is 6'3". Keep that in mind. In my opinion, with something like 10 pro fights, based on what I see on film here, is one of the best fighters in the entire sport. Right? He has a gift few have. James DeGale has it, where in the middle of a fight, he can just decide he's going to change his punch angles. So you have Rabbit Ear's defense. He's a southpaw. He's a big southpaw. Moves better than 95% of the sport. Has great legs. Certainly moves better than Thabiso. Right? He's a guy who can literally make his left hand, his dominant hand, go wide. Right? I mean wide. He'll throw it and it'll be like way outside. So you have your hands up, he's throwing it from way out here somehow. Right? And it still has power on it. It can still knock you out. He has a thing going on that I think is a John David Jackson style of thing, where his defense is based on planes. Now at the highest level, in my opinion, I know I'm a kook here online, boxing's all about angles, right? Defensively, I believe the great defenders set it up so you can't land punches because of how they've positioned their bodies. So you'll notice Usyk, who's 6'3", will bend down a little bit, right? To take away mid-range hooking, he'll have his hands up like this. So you have to somehow get through shoulders and stuff like that. You can't throw hooks at him, because when he comes in, he always seems to come in and he's able to operate offensively. In other words, he's able to throw punches, including that wide left hand I'm talking about, from a southpaw position. Right? He's able to operate offensively, but when you throw back, because he's leaning, you can't get to his body. And when you throw at his head, he always seems to have something covering his face without doing this. Right? He has something covering his face, and you're going to hit elbows if you try to fight like Danny Garcia and come in and throw hooks. Right? This guy takes away that plane, right, by leaning in and having his hands like this. Now, I know people are in love with a Philly shell, right? I know people love guys who have their, chins tucked behind a shoulder and all this other stuff, right, like Thabiso does. The most intriguing defense I've seen, we'll call it the Archie Moore defense, right, where Archie, huge puncher, right? Look at the number of KOs, right? Archie would come in like this. You might recognize it from George Foreman, right? When George Foreman came back. Foreman would, by the way, Archie Moore used to be in George Foreman's corner, right? Joe Frazier, another guy who would bust us out, where the guy goes like this, and you just can't hit him, right? The challenge for guys like this is, how do they have offense? The guys who know what they're doing shift weight before they throw the punch, so that you don't have to reach back to hit the guy. You already have built-in leverage, so when you see an opening, you turn the hand this way and you just lean. Well, all I'm saying to you is this. You won't see Usyk go like this blatantly. But in a sense, this is what he's doing. In other words, he's moving around the ring. When he comes in, you'll notice a hand up like this. Right? This is this part of this. Right? You'll notice a hand up like this. Then you'll notice as he throws power shots, he doesn't stay stationary. He moves. Let's just say I look at this guy's films and I'm intrigued. It's a signature style that I feel might allow him to clean the table. What do I mean by clean the table? Right? He's the best right now. The best right now. And that includes Tony Bellew. He's the best right now at cruiserweight. I feel this Usyk guy might have a shot, especially after this ridiculous Luis Ortiz-Malik Scott fight. He might have a shot at cleaning out the heavyweight division. Right? Understand, things move in cycles. When Ali came along and was a mover, right? When Ali came along, the heavyweight division was flat-footed. Right? Flat-footed, like it is now. Right? When you inject a new style, it takes the rest of the world time to catch up. I thought Tyson Fury made Vladimir Klitschko look like he was in a sandbox. Fury was moving around the ring and stuff like that, and Klitschko couldn't catch up. Now understand, I privately feel that Vladimir Klitschko is better than most of these guys wearing belts. Right? I'm not sure if any of these guys with belts can beat Vladimir Klitschko. I'd certainly take him over Anthony Joshua. Let's hope that fight happens. Right? So my point to you is, along comes this guy from the Ukraine. He moves well, folks. Right? He moves well. And he has a style that's hard to read. Certainly no one's going to be able to duplicate it in training camp. And he has size, 6'3". And he has a punch that, quite frankly, Ali never had. Right? This guy's a huge puncher when he wants to be. Right? And he understands movement. So let me just throw this out here. In a sport with some great fighters, I think Terence Crawford's a great fighter. I think James DeGale is a great fighter. Right? I think Andre Ward is a great fighter. Right? In a sport with some great fighters, Chocolatito, Roman Gonzalez, I think he's a great fighter. Right? You know, watch this upcoming fight. It's on the undercard of Bernard Hopkins' farewell fight. I believe this guy is a great fighter. I think he's going to embarrass a really good Thabiso Mchunu in a way that Junior Makabu did not. Right? A guy like this who's as fluid as he is, who knows that his opponent's going to be pretty much in the pocket, right? With a setup style. It's going to be like a marginal line, right? Where, you know, Mchunu has a setup style. The problem is with Usyk's movement, he can get around that defense. He can throw punches from the sides, right? Let's say Mchunu's in a Philly shell and he has his head tucked behind his shoulder. This is the kind of two-handed guy who'll come in this way, right? Rather than come in here and have the punch land on the shoulder, he'll come in this way, right? He'll lean in and get under Thabiso's elbow and hit him in the body. Some of his KOs are off body shots. Right? So as you watch this guy, I want you to look up the historical weights of heavyweights. I believe Joe Frazier, the first Ali fight, weighs less than 210 pounds. Rocky Marciano, you're talking about a guy in the 180s. Now I know there are guys in history, Primo Carnera, etc., who were big men, right? Lennox Lewis. Okay, great. They're guys who are big champions. But I'm just telling you, most of the heavyweight champions, right? Floyd Patterson, guys like that, were not far from the weight that Usyk is right now. Is it possible, given that Fury's having problems, that the next great world heavyweight is currently the cruiserweight champion? Right? This guy is dangerous. He's unknown. He's an Olympic gold medalist, folks. He won the title in emphatic fashion. He's hard to time. He's hard to hit. Right? He's extremely creative. He's unpredictable. It's his American debut. I'm expecting him to make a statement. I believe Usyk wins this fight by a wide margin. The question I have, and I don't even think he needs to gain weight, right? Because a lot of these guys at heavyweight don't move well enough to corner him. The question I have is, does this guy take it one step further and try to wage war on the heavyweight division? Let me say this too, and I'll sound even crazier. Styles make fights. Very few guys have the hand speed to compete with this guy at heavyweight. Right? The guy at heavyweight who has the hand speed, who in my opinion knows how to use it, is Andy Ruiz. Right? The problem with Andy is Andy doesn't seem to know how to fight backing up. Right? If Ruiz beats Joseph Parker, don't rule out that possibility. If Ruiz beats Joseph Parker and has a share of the heavyweight title, I'm just telling you from a style perspective, it would be interesting seeing Andy Ruiz against Oleksander Usyk. Right? I'm just telling you, many of the other guys, Deontay Wilder, just don't have the tools to compete with this guy. Right? Let's just call it what it is. And Luis Ortiz, right, knocks down Malik Scott 3 times. I thought Scott would do a lot better. I thought Scott, 9-1 underdog, was a live underdog. But you mean to tell me that after Luis Ortiz knocks him down, Luis Ortiz couldn't close the show, couldn't cut off the ring? If he couldn't catch up with Malik Scott, who wasn't firing back live ammunition, how is Luis Ortiz going to deal with this guy, Usyk, who's offensively blessed, but who also has legs, and who's a southpaw like Ortiz, is not going to be that thrown off kilter by Ortiz's big left hand? Anyway, I like Usyk in this fight. Just consider the possibility that the best guy in the heavyweight division is not a heavyweight. Right? I like Usyk in this fight. He's on the short list of the very best in boxing. Let me add Golovkin, who I consider a great fighter. Right? Possibly Danny Jacobs, who, let's face it, needs to fight Golovkin. Those guys need to tell us who's the best at middle. The list of the very best isn't that long. I believe this guy Usyk's on it. Certainly the potential is there. That's how I see it. Let me hear from you. I hope you leave your comments in the comment section to this video. Let me point out too, clearly Sergey Kovalev belongs on the list. That's how I see it. Let me hear from you. Hope you leave your comments in the comment section to this video. Thanks for stopping by.